Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of Metal Freedom. I am your host, Trey Hill. Tonight, we have a really cool band, a couple members from Casket Robbery. I've listened to their music, I dig it. It's kind of reminds me of some of the old school metal that I used to listen to. Um, uh, Corey and Megan Scheider. Um, uh, uh, Megan is the vocals, and Corey plays guitar. Uh, and it's really cool because actually they're also into the paranormal, and I'm going to be joining them on July 18th at Broadhead Manor in Wisconsin, for an investigation, which is it's going to be cool. Um, so without further ado, let's get these cats on. Hello, hello.
Hey,
Hello.
how's it going?
Thanks for being on the show. Um, you know, uh, I've heard of you guys for a while. When I found out also that you guys were into the paranormal stuff too, is I thought that was really cool. Um, I've been listening to a lot of different kinds of musics over the years. But when I first started listening to music, it was a lot of it was really heavy death metal type stuff. Obituary and like violence and all that. But with your band, I mean, you've got quite a bit of a following, you know, and and kudos to you guys. I mean, that's awesome. So let me first ask, because this is a pretty interesting title for a band. Where did you come up with that name?
Um, so yeah, the name is something we had just been we just uh it's there's nothing crazy about it. We just kind of came up with a list of names.
Right.
And like a huge list, and we just looked through it and that one sounded the coolest. And that's all there is to it.
Right on.
It fit really well too because we wanted to have kind of like this spooky, like a horror aspect to our music, and
Right.
it just seemed to fit super well.
Right. Right. So, Megan, your vocals are pretty intense.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So how did you come across that with the ability to sing like that and to put that much energy into your performance?
I grew up just, singing everywhere that I could. In my like early 20s, I helped form a local like metalcore band where I sang and I like screamed for the first time like very minimally. And when the opportunity kind of popped up, the first vocalist for Casket Robbery left, and um I had progressively like been becoming more interested in like harsher and harsher vocals and adding them more in. And Corey had asked if I would fill in for a tour, and I was incredibly intimidated because I while I did scream a little bit, I did not that's not like the only thing that I did. So I filled in on that tour and kind of just fell in love with the chance to be this like crazy like evil little creature on stage every night. and
Kind of like an
and so
alter
I
ego.
really, yeah, it's just I get to like get everything out on stage. And just like it's so funny because I think the comment that I get most is like I look possessed on stage, which is
Hmm.
cool. um
Right.
but I just, I want to make like the weirdest sounds with my vocals, and I just keep trying to push that further to expand my range
Right.
in it.
Right. Right. So, Corey, what did you think when you heard her kind of come out of her shell, so to speak? What did you think of that?
Oh, it was awesome. It's very cool too because okay, so there's a little background to that because I was recording her first band, Disappearance, I was actually recording her vocals for, I think it was just like an EP, and she was in the studio and she started taking lessons around the same time too. So when she hit her stride with recording, it was really cool. And it was one of those things where it was like, I think I remember us listening to them like just the vocals isolated, and we were like, it was like, man, those sound gnarly, and then we brought the music into it and everything, and it just sounded so huge. And I feel like I was really proud of, of what you had done, and it was a really cool experience. So it was cool to see her grow through like lessons, and then eventually joining Casket Robbery was really cool,
Yeah.
because her voice was so
Kind of
brutal.
coming in, yeah, kind of coming into her own in that aspect. So
Yeah, absolutely. Finding that brutal guttural voice, because she's done all kinds of stuff too. You were doing a different style vocals for a different style of harsh vocal for a
Hmm.
while. It was more high pitched, and then she found that low register too. So
right, right. So let's go back to when you guys were younger. When you first kind of got into music as a whole, what kind of music did you start out listening to?
I mean, I think as most like young kids do, you're kind of influenced by whatever your parents are listening to. So
Right,
like it was a lot of classic rock, it was a lot of hair metal. I like vaguely remember like some of the first presents I got when I was very little were like on cassette tape, and it was like Ace of Base and TLC, and like
right,
I distinctly like remember those. And yeah,
right,
I mean I was not immune to the boy band charm for sure. um
right,
Spice Girls were a big hit in my house.
right,
So like everything, I think you and me kind of like we have so much like um we really love all kinds of music.
right, right,
yeah,
right,
absolutely. And then I'm kind of the same way, where it was like I started listening to like AC/DC and things
Right.
like that, more of the rock style, and then progressively got more into the metal stuff, mostly because of the guitar playing was more complicated and it was exciting to learn. And but yeah, nowadays, I mean, I listen to everything.
Yeah.
right, right. Do you have a go-to, like if you're driving in the car or whatever, you have something that you like? Oh, this is what I usually listen to if I'm going this way, or whatever.
Yeah, on tour, my go-to is The Police.
Nice.
um
Yeah.
that's like the most chill music to kind of vibe out to, especially like after you're playing death metal every single night.
Right,
It's kind of nice to just have something different. So I will definitely jam that, and
right,
a lot of the 80s metal stuff, hair metal. I really like.
Yeah.
right, right. Yeah, I grew up listening to a lot of that stuff. You know, Molly Crew and Cinderella,
Yeah.
and one of the best shows that I ever saw was a tour Cinderella concert, and they blew me out of the water. I mean, it was just amazing. And same with like Tesla, all of that. You know what I mean? It's just grassroots type music.
Yeah.
Um, but the first time like I saw like Overkill, I
Oh yeah.
I was like, what is this? Um, First time being in a mosh pit, first time crowd surfing, first time, it was just it was exhilarating. It was really pretty cool. So I expanded myself like that as well. So, it's cool that you guys have that library of of musical influence. You know what I mean? Because I've talked to other people who play similar music that you play, and they're like, I can't stand that music, or I don't like that music, and they just strictly like the music they're playing. And I'm like, well, that's cool. I'm happy for you, but it's just like So it's kind of refreshing to hear you guys say that. You talk about hair metal, you talk about, the Police, so it kind of broadens your music ability to kind of expand, even though the music that you're playing may not be similar, but there's an influence there. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and I mean, if you really listen to the Casket stuff, you'll hear melodies kinda leak into it, it's heavy, extreme music, but I can't
Mm,
help put in, like, these cool guitar melodies, and even there's stuff like that I've taken from bands production things from the band Def Leppard. So I like to say this a
yeah,
lot is, like, one thing I love to do on our albums is, like, play a guitar melody, and then Megan can sing too, so she'll match the melody with her vocals, and then we mix
right,
that together, and that was like a old, I found that in some Def Leppard interview where they did a lot of, like they would do, like,
that,
chanting and stuff like that and match it with
right,
guitar, and it sounds really creepy, actually, and it's perfect,
yeah.
but yeah,
It's kind of like the harmonizing a little bit. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That
yeah,
makes sense.
totally, totally, yeah.
They've always had that undertone, and that's one of the reasons why I like them. I've seen them like 3 times, over the years, and
Oh, cool, yeah.
that's that
Yeah,
was
me
my
too.
that was my first hard rock metal or hard rock rock and roll band that I got to was Def Leppard. I was 12, so I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like you learn to appreciate music as a whole, and listening to different things. I listen to Frank Sinatra, I listen to Dean Martin, I listen to you know, Genesis. I listened to, all kinds of different things, even America. I mean, some of that stuff back in the day was really that melodic Eagles type stuff, you know.
Mhm.
And I just think that it's just it's good to have that ability to kind of see music for what it is in all its different forms. You know what I mean? So let me ask you. So how was Metal Fest? You guys played a stage on Metal Fest this last weekend. How did that go?
It was so fun. We're still kind of recovering, but it was so fun. I We say this every year we're fortunate enough to play that it's so fun to be like immersed in that much music in that small amount of time. We have people commenting, I think, constantly that the whole weekend, we they saw us at every single stage because we'd go backstage and be side stage for most of the bands that are playing because you're not
Mhm.
going to get that concentrated amount of music anywhere in that short amount of time. So we're just running around like crazy the entire weekend, just soaking up as much music as we possibly can.
Right. The Milwaukee Metal Fest is I've known them that since I was young, and I mean even back in the day. I mean it was just you know even though now even though it's been so many years that they've been doing this, it's still it just I think those type of festivals like the Milwaukee Metal Fest really kind of can give bands a leap up, a leap forward, and into something bigger and better. I think it's kind of a starting point for some bands. And now I'm assuming you saw a lot of bands. You were there for like the weekend. So was there anybody in particular that you hadn't heard of and thought, oh my God, these guys are fantastic?
I feel like there's so many.
Yeah, there was a ton.
Yeah, there's so many bands.
There's so many bands.
Um, yeah, there was like, I know, Primitive Man was really cool. And some of these bands have been around a while, but e- I hadn't checked them out.
Right.
I think there was Heavy Hitter played.
Yep.
And then like you were saying too, the cool thing is like the really cool thing about this festival is Jamie Josta will bring all types of bands. There's local bands from Milwaukee
Mhm.
that just starting out,
Right.
and we had friends and Surefire,
Yep.
still Stayer, um, and it's just really cool to be able to like as a starting band, like we're
Mhm.
kind of starting out. It's cool to be able to play the ballroom stage. He'll put the newer bands on the ballroom stage, and you get to play this huge room. Um,
Right, right.
yeah, it's very cool. But then yeah, and then you've also got what I like about it too is you've got some of those original bands who played the very first Milwaukee Metal Fests, like Incantation and
Mhm.
Obituary, and some of those bands
Yep.
who started back then, and now here they are like headlining and stuff like that. So it's just
Right,
so
right.
wild to see that.
Hmm, hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's just, and that's kind of what I get was even not even just the Milwaukee Metal Fest. It's just like there was a Detroit Metal Fest. There's some other metal fests that are around. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like back in the day when I was growing up. It was a death metal and heavy metal and thrash and all that stuff was back in the 80s and 90s, early 90s was really big, and I saw some great bands. And I met a lot of these bands too. Even like Testament. I love Testament. I grew up listening to those guys, and I met them in Nebraska. Talked to the bass player for a half hour, and just down to earth guys. And what a lot of people don't realize too is that these guys put their heart and soul into this, and I think by what you guys do as well, being musicians and the music that you're playing, you to me, you really have to put your heart and soul in that. You know what I mean? You really gotta if you gotta be in it to win it. I mean, and there is no half-assing it. No, that type of intensity just doesn't isn't forced. It's there. You guys like own that intensity. And there are some bands that it's just a paycheck or just a job for them or something like that. But I can see when you guys are on stage or I watch video of you guys, you are in that zone, and it's nice to see that there are bands that care about exactly what they're doing, and their intentions are pure in that sense of that's what you want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So congrats to you guys for that, because it's the music industry, and it, and I've been around it enough to know that some of these parts of the music industries are really kind of just fucked, and it's just messed up, you know, and you've got to learn to do your own thing, and that's exactly what you guys are doing, you know. So
Yeah.
I mean that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a really rough, it's a rough industry. You got to put in so much work behind the scenes, like that people will never know that you that you do. I mean, we work regular jobs, and then we have this full-time business
Right,
to handle, and we're traveling all
right.
the time. And yeah, like you said, it's like that those few minutes on stage. That's where the passion really comes out. It's all the work
Hmm.
we've done to that point. That's our reward. Um, and it's just great
Right.
to it's really cool to just not only be on stage, but the our one big thing too is just connecting with fans and people too is very rewarding.
Mhm.
It's really amazing to see all of our friends and fans come out to
Right,
these shows.
right. Yeah. Yeah. When I was young, I tried to get into the music scene, play guitar, do whatever, and I had to come to realize that when I was younger, it wasn't meant for me, But I mean, I was around it enough to know enough musicians and this and that, and that's kind of why later in life, when I was doing all my other podcasts I just came up with this idea, and I'm like, why don't I interview people that I grew up listening to, and talk to bands that I'm just discovering, like you guys, and so it's just like it just makes it's just a conversation. You talk about things that you like and that you love, and talk about metal and talk about music in general. I have another show um, that just talks about music in general. you know and
Cool.
the record store lounge, it's just regular music, and it just talks about artists and this and that. Um, Speaking of artists, as being artists such as yourself, um, has there ever been a point where you thought, or I should say, are there points in your like when you're doing tours and stuff like that? Do you come up with different ideas while you're on the road for different material as you're on the road, or is it just something that you guys wait till you go back? You come back home and then you kind of sit in a room and kind of just think about it, or is it just inspired by your experiences?
That's an awesome question. I don't know. How do you come up with your ideas?
So, I mean, like, I'll always have my phone and a notebook with me. So whenever I do feel like something pops into my head and inspires me, I have it. I do think that the road and the things that we get ourselves into on the road are definitely inspiring and do help create that. But I feel like there's, for us at least, I feel like it's a decent mix of both, where we're able to kind of sit down, lock in, put ideas down, and get into a room, but also have things inspire us out there. And if an idea strikes, we definitely like get it down right away or talk about it or something.
Yeah, I kind of
Right.
find it
How many
harder.
times have you had that happen where you're like, "Where's my note and pad? I
Oh,
got to
God,
write
so
this
that's
down."
Yeah,
why I
yeah,
usually have my phone, because I'll like
Okay.
the half-assed amount of like notes in my phone right now of like lyric ideas, where I'm like, I'll look at it later and be like, what? What? Where was I going with that? But yeah, like just tons of them. I have like pages of it.
Right, right. So who writes the music? Is it both of you? I mean, like the lyrics of songs, or do you like just everybody shares in that, or everybody contributes?
it's kind of like, well, I usually Megan writes most of the lyrics. I write most of the music, but we once we come up with ideas, we give it to the other members.
Yeah.
Present
Uh-huh.
it. Whether we send it because we have members that are in different states and stuff. So we will send it digitally. But if we do get a chance, we can jam it too. But we kind of come up with a bulk of the ideas, give it to everyone, and then kind of collaborate from there.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, how long have you been playing guitar?
Um. Oh, it's been a long time. So since I was like 12 or
Okay.
13. So yeah, it's been a lot of years, and I started with I took guitar lessons and everything like that. Um,
Did you
yeah.
ever think that you would be where you're at now?
No, I think about that a lot, which is crazy. Like, because like when I was a kid, when I picked up the guitar, I knew I wanted to play in bands and do that.
Hmm.
And then as I got older and got into like, you know, Def Leppard, they were a big one that inspired me to like want to like do music as a
Right.
career. I wanted to do that, but I never really realized like I would actually do that. You know what I mean? Like coming from like I come from a farm family in the Midwest.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like
Right. Right.
I never thought I'd be like playing Metal Fest with Jamie Josta, or I even work with him on the Metal Fest website. You know what I mean? It's like I never thought I'd be
Right.
working with these kinds of people, and it's just really, really, really awesome.
Right. It's kind of surreal, you know.
Yeah,
I think there are so many moments, especially even when I've done events and because of who I am, and I have the social media that I have. I'm not famous by any means or really that popular, but I have done gallery readings and stuff like that because I'm into the paranormal. I am a medium. I have gifts, spiritual gifts, and this and that. But I also have a passion for music and whatnot. So um, I've had moments in my life where things where you're at a point where you're on a stage or at somewhere and you're like, how did I get here? Like you take
yeah,
that moment and you're like, and almost like it kind of like goes over your head until you like grab it and like, wait a minute, did that just happen? You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's instead of you're always looking forward to the next gig or the next this or that, and then when you're there, it's almost like a normalcy, and that's weird.
Yeah,
You know what I
it
mean?
is
It just
weird.
it
Yeah,
is. It
I've
feels like a really weird feeling. You know?
I've had to always remind myself to just take a minute, and I'll even do this. I will walk off on my own, maybe find a room or a backstage area or something, just take a minute, take a breath, and just like, hey, kind of realize where am I right now, and just kind of
Right.
soak it in for a little bit. It's
Right.
nice feeling.
That's a positive thing that I think a lot of people should do is take that moment where it's that old adage of stop and smell the roses.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and just kind of just take that moment to plant your feet and realize where you're at. And with you guys being where you're at, and with your vocals and your guitar work, and the tours that you've done, and the people that you've worked with, I'm sure that you've had quite a few of those smell the rose moments.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
We especially, and I know every musician does this. They kind of like they'll beat themselves up over like maybe flubbing a guitar part, or they want to get to this next level, or and they
Right.
can't, or like things get really hard and difficult. But yeah, you just got to take that second. It's like, wait, look at how far we've come already. Like everything's
Right.
cool, everything's good.
Right. Right. Oh, and that goes back to, it's not even just music, it's just life in general, where people are, talk about people who are alcoholics or whatever, who quit drinking, and, and, don't want to go back to that, and they have to stop and realize how far they are. You know what I mean? But it goes
Yeah.
so, similar to, being a musician, or um, even being an actor, being somebody, you know what I mean? It's like you have to take those moments in stride, and to really to stop and smell the roses, man. You got to ground yourself in that way, you know. And I think that you guys have that mentality to do that, and I think that's really cool. It's just, and me talking to you here, I kind of get that whole. You guys are more rounded than um, I was expecting you to be. I was not,
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you.
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, not that I was thinking you in a bad, that you were going to be dull or anything like that, but I mean, there's so many layers of you guys, especially with your history of music and things. And I think that, and it's refreshing for me because, it makes me do my interview is a lot more relaxed, a lot more easier, because I've interviewed some people where it's just like I'm tense, because it's just like, you know, trying to get through a stone wall. You know what I mean? So I want to,
Oh sure.
I thank you for that. And I thank you for, talking with me about that. But having said
Yeah.
that, talking about music, let's talk about spooky stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you guys you guys did a film video of a song, right? At Broadhead Manor.
Yeah, we did
Yeah.
post mortem, and then I think we did Lacrophagus there too. We did
We
two
did
videos
part, yeah,
at Broadhead Manor. Yeah.
part of it at
Oh
Right,
Broadhead.
yeah.
Yeah.
One video was half Broadhead Manor, half another spot.
right. So if people who are watching this or going to be listening to this, this is Broadhead Manor is an old high school building that's owned by Bill Walter. He bought the property and um, turned into a haunted house attraction, but realized that it was actually haunted, and he hosts events there. And you guys are having an event July 18th where we're going to investigate.
We are.
Yeah, it's
A
gonna
Yeah.
be
paranormal
crazy.
investigate.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
Yeah.
So, can you give a little bit of the details so people who are watching, listening, can understand what we're going to do? Or
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, um, we've always wanted to tie in the horror aspect of our music into uh, with the paranormal stuff that we enjoy, and we thought this
Mhm.
would be a cool way to do it. So what we are doing on July 18th is we'll have a paranormal team, paranormal exposures will be there to kind of help lead some investigations. We'll have a few tools, like the stuff you see on TV, like the EMF detectors,
Right.
cameras, lights, things like that. We'll have all this cool stuff where you can come in uh, and investigate with us and just hang out with us,
Yeah.
and we'll try to talk to some ghosts.
Yeah. Right.
Um, yeah, I guess that's the quick
Yeah.
version of it. But there's so many cool experiences that we've had there already.
Yep.
We've been through the building a few times. Megan especially has
So can
some
you
cool.
talk about them a little bit? Can you
Yeah,
is
yeah.
can you
Yeah,
give us some
like
examples?
one of the it had to have been one of the first times that we had gone there. I think to film the music video, we just kind of happened to film this video, and Bill had mentioned that like a paranormal team was coming in that night, and they had said we could kind of stick around if we wanted to. So we were doing that, and I know at one point, I can't remember if it was this time or next time, in like the gift shop there, paranormal exposures who have become um, absolute best friends and family to us. Um,
Hmm.
we were doing some scrying, and I had weird experiences with that in there, just like with mirror scrying. And then we did some more stuff in that room with some tripwire lights, and it's actually on video somewhere. Like, um, I had some like touch experiences, and a lot of you could see very intelligent responses to the questions that
Hmm.
we were asking with all of the equipment that we had in there. So that is
Hmm.
literally all on video that I
Yeah,
think they
that.
have on one of their lives. But it was so cool, and that really stuck with me because there was a spirit there that like took a liking to me immediately, and I felt
Hmm.
like very connected to that night. And um that was kind of one of the first experiences that I had had validated that I can't explain.
Right.
And from there we kind of just fell in love with everything.
Hmm. Right.
Yeah, not only just the experiences, but like Bill and Ron have become good
Yeah.
friends, and we like to we'll just go there and hang out with them every once in a
Yep.
while. Everybody that's
Right.
around there is really cool, so we like to just pop in and say hi to those guys.
Right. Right. Yeah, I was just there last weekend for a beard bro event, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I got to see some people that I haven't seen in over a year, and but yeah, I investigated with uh, a team, um, Squire Paranormal out of Illinois, and I was there with my friend Jesse, and yeah, we had some great experiences. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it was quite. It's normal for me because I'm connected to the dead that way, so it's not doesn't really surprise me. But to see the look on some people's faces are classic, and I'm just like, and that's awesome. But the one thing I will say about Broadhead Manor is Bill Walter, the owner, I, he reminds me like if you had a great uncle, you know what I mean,
yeah,
an uncle or a
Yeah.
dad or somebody that just said, "Come on down," and, and to me that was where he really made me feel welcome,
Yep.
and everybody that he comes in contact with, and so I think it's kind of a blessing to have that connection, and to be able to kind of network that around at events and stuff like that, and I just think that's cool, you know. Um, Sticking with the paranormal thing, now, have you either one of you had any paranormal experiences before Broadhead Manor?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
you
I like
feel free to share if you want.
I'm very yeah, I'm very connected that like very connected, and I do I work in death care, and so I will say the past few years have really like um allowed myself to expand on some of those. those gifts that people keep telling me are there and that I feel.
Yep.
So it's really Broadhead's been a blessing in opening that stuff, at least for me, um,
Hmm.
and being able to like tap into that stuff.
I think for me, like I've had little things here and there in the past, but nothing that I felt like could be. I felt like it could be proven. You know, it's like things like a ceiling fan that's spun or something, and it's like
Right.
okay, maybe it's just the wind. You know, like there's a draft or
Right. Right.
something. But it
Right.
wasn't, honestly, it wasn't until we got to Broadhead where it was like we just had these continually like
Yeah.
smart
Yep.
responses to things that started to like I'm like, "Oh my god, like this is crazy." Like you can't explain some of that. And the big one
Right.
was like she said when she had that first connection with something. I remember we had those trip lights around you,
Yeah.
around all of us,
Yep.
and they hadn't lit up at all night. And as soon as she started saying, "I feel, a real cold spot and this stuff," the one light on that trip light kept lighting up behind her, and it happened for like 5 minutes. It was so weird, you know.
Do you remember what room that was in? Was that in the doll room?
Yeah, it is in the
Yeah,
doll room now. Yep. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I had this a weird experiences about that. When we did the tour, well, before we were investigating, we were kind of doing the tour with Bill and this and that, and some of these people wanted to go in there. At that moment, me and my friend Jesse, who was gifted as well, we stood out there, looked at it, and said, "Nope," and we just stood there and was we didn't want to go in there because it was so we could sense it was so chaotic. And then when we actually
Yeah.
were investigating, it was chaotic like that until Jesse said enough. She put her foot down and said, "Okay, this is enough." You know, that's when two different spirits and um, came through the box and through the lights that we were using, tripwire, and there was a corner that I was not going anywhere near. It was the static energy was just off the charts. We put a lighted cat toy up there, and it kept going off by itself. And
Yep.
yeah,
and then once we cleared out that whole area, once Jesse, I should say, cleared out that whole area, I was able to walk in that corner and not feel anything.
Yeah.
That was really kind of cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's
wow,
so
yeah,
many
yeah.
different levels to that place. And the funny thing is that I have a cousin. She's in her 80s. She was my dad's niece. My dad was born the last one out of 15 or 14 back in 1934. My parents had me late. And so my grandparents were old. My grandfather, his dad was born in 1881, same year Billy the Kid was supposedly killed. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
have that, and my cousin went to high school at Broadhead.
Oh,
So I
Oh,
have
wow.
that
weird.
connection to Broadhead because my cousin
Yeah.
lived in Broadhead at that time
Yeah.
back in the 50s, and she went to high school there. And she says, anytime you want to go there, I love that place, and I have great memories of that place. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
Oh.
that's just totally bizarre.
Yeah. It's
So yeah,
crazy.
Broadhead is a great place. You know, I love it, and um, it was this week. It's pretty hot outside, so it was hot there last weekend. I mean, it was like because there's no air in there. You know what I mean? We were
Yep.
sitting in the gym, and it's
Yep.
just like air was pretty thick. But yeah, so that's a great place. So let me ask you: is it this is something that you're going to continue to want to do off and on?
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah, yeah,
mean,
yeah.
when we have free time, we do like we have a list of places we want to go to. We've been to Edinburgh twice to explore with paranormal exposures and have had some crazy experiences there. But I mean, we even within this past year have like started making our own little toolkit of equipment and things and learning
Nice.
how to use them ourselves
Yeah.
and kind of figuring out like how to do it ourselves and not
Mhm.
um rely so much on other people. So that's been really fun too.
Right, right. Is there some place that you haven't gone to that you want to go to?
Oh.
Um, some of those big penitentiaries or whatever.
Yeah.
Those big prisons and stuff. Those
like
would be
Oshkosh
Like
or
Oshkosh, is
yeah,
there like
Sheboygan.
yeah.
a Penhurst is
Penhurst.
like
That
we've
was what I was
seen.
trying to think of.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah,
Some of those would be
or
wild because
Waverly.
like yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So far, like the experiences we've had haven't felt very threatening, and not that I want to feel a
Right,
threatening experience, but
right,
like
right,
you know,
right.
I just feel like the energy would be really crazy in some of those types
It
of.
is. I've been to Waverly, and
Okay,
it's it's pretty intense. For
yeah.
me,
How
it
do
was
you
very
feel?
emotional.
Okay,
Yeah, it was very. My body hurt after walking through that. My body
yeah,
physically hurt, and I felt depressed. I felt very disappointed. I felt just that whole despair feeling, and I had guarded myself and protected myself before I went, but I also had to drive 6.5 hours. You know what I mean? So because I'm, you know, right above Illinois and the bottom of Wisconsin, so driving that way is not easy for me, and I was already tired. So evidently, I didn't protect myself enough because I went through there, and it was cool, but a lot of sadness there. A lot
yeah,
of people who were disappointed, you know, and wanting to be healed and never got healed. You know what I mean? So that was the main thing that I came. My buddy, um, my buddy Clay Shiner, who is actually one of the guitar players for Green Jello.
oh,
oh
cool.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
They were just at
So,
Metal Fest.
yeah. So, he's he actually caught something on camera, a couple pictures, and which was really cool. Um, but I really wanted to go to the Airbnb. I really wanted to go back to the farmhouse. I was done. You know, I was kind of
Yeah.
toast. It was very hard for me to walk. I mean, it was really yeah. And we stayed at a farmhouse that was supposedly haunted,
Oh,
which it was, but I was so tired, I didn't engage. Yeah,
yeah,
I
Oh,
was
yeah.
so tired. I went like a herd of elephants could go through the hallway, and I wouldn't have made it. You know, so literally sleeping like the dead. You know, but Kentucky is great. You know, I mean it's beautiful. That would probably be it'd be an okay place to go. Sheboygan, I haven't been to Sheboygan yet, but Sheboygan I hear is really cool, and
Yeah, yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm sure paranormal exposures have been there. I don't know paranormal exposures personally. I
okay.
know a lot of paranormal people and a lot of paranormal teams, but this is the first time I've heard of these guys since that
Cool.
poster that you posted about the July 18th.
Oh, cool, cool.
So I'll
Very
have to
cool.
introduce myself, and you know,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm very very interested in seeing how it goes and whatnot. I do
Yeah,
my
I
own
think
thing.
it's a great name.
You know what I mean? I have a small circle of friends. You know, I keep it that way. So much drama in the paranormal, I don't have nothing to do with it. You know, I
Sure.
don't
Yeah, there is.
advertise
Yeah,
myself.
that was a
Yeah.
shock to us too.
We learned, yeah, we
Yeah.
learned
We
that
learned that
afterwards.
Oh
ourselves.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, yeah. But yeah, I just I don't advertise myself. People have told me for years you should advertise yourself, and I just I don't want that attention because the percentage of that would be like 10% good and 80 to 90% annoying. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I don't
Yeah,
want it.
Yep.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So I do my own thing, and if I'm lucky enough to work with some people who um, have more connections for me to do more things, that's great. I'm working on doing creating a film company, a documentary type film company for paranormal as well as history, and I'm
Oh, cool.
trying to get that going. And I'm trying to get my campaign going. It's very very difficult because it's just not too many people want to donate type thing. You know what I mean? So, but
Hmm.
Sure.
yeah, I need to market I need to market that a little bit more. You know what I mean? I need to get that part of it out part out there just because of the fact that I truly believe in the history of a lot of different places as well as the paranormal ties to it. The stories,
Hmm.
Cool. Yeah,
especially,
yeah.
and my main focus is Gettysburg
Oh
because
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
there was so many deaths there, and there's so
Yeah.
many spirits there that are still trapped and not knowing and that are in loops, and it's just like I just feel bad. You know what I mean? There's so many good
Yeah.
stories that could come out of that tragedy, and I
Yep.
and I want to be able to find them and share them. So that's why I do. That's why I have that campaign, and I'm trying to raise money for that. And hopefully one day it'll happen. But yeah.
That's cool.
So
I'll
I'm
have to
real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
Go
have to
ahead.
look more into that. I've been trying to get more into the history aspect of the locations we go to. Also, Will from Paranormal Exposures is really good with that too. So it'd be
Mhm.
cool to talk to him. He's
Yeah.
great with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Right. That's and that whole thing is I've been to places like Tombstone.
Yeah, sure.
That was that was cool in itself. You know. Um, so yeah, I've been to some great Stanley Hotel in Estes Park.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay, I've been there twice. The place where they filmed The Shining,
Yep.
Yeah,
or the inspiration for The Shining. Yeah, I took the
that
picture,
is so cool.
the door, and the whole 9 yards. And I had experiences there. I had great visual pictures of that. It was just, but so I've been to some different places. But the reason why I asked, I was just curious. You guys ever find some place that you want to go to, or that you want to investigate or whatever, and hit me up and let me know and see if maybe if I can help you with that, or you know
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know I do know quite a few different places that are really cool.
Cool.
If you guys, I mean, I don't know exactly where you guys are located at.
we are about an hour south of Madison.
Okay, so
So
what's the town that you live in?
it'd be Monroe area.
Okay, right. So
Yeah.
I'm 40 minutes from you guys because I live outside of Lake Geneva.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, when you said Wisconsin area, I kind of figured maybe
Yeah,
over that direction.
yeah,
Cool. We
yeah.
like it over there
So
too.
right, so a really cool place for you guys, being a married couple, to stay for just a day or a weekend is to go to the Maxwell House in Lake Geneva.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Okay, you
I'm gonna write
stay
that down.
there. Yeah. I did my first podcast there for a year and a half, and it has spirits. It's very spirited. I
Cool.
know all the spirits in that building. I know who's there, who comes and goes, the whole 9 yards. Now, when I used to go there a lot, the owner would know when I would come in, because as soon as I would walk in, the lights would dim, and
Oh, no way.
so the owner would know that I was there. She would come around the corner, or she would say to the coworker, "Oh, Jay's here," and I would walk around the corner. She says, "Yep, there he is," So they know me. They know me in that sense, but it's a beautiful place, and it's some place that is just a cool place to stay a night. You know what I mean?
Cool.
And
Yeah.
like I said, Ulysses S. Grant stayed there. Um, uh, Ronald Reagan stayed there with Nancy when he was
Okay.
courting her back in the day. I mean, so there's been a lot of notable figures that have stayed there. There's a Grant suite that he actually stayed in. Um, so yeah, so if you guys ever need a getaway or something like that, I know the owner very well. Um, I might be able to get you guys a deal on a room,
Cool.
Cool. Yeah,
and
that'd
Yeah,
be rad.
yeah, and
that's
yeah,
cool.
and she's been actually, wondering where I'm at, because I haven't been there in a while, so I need to get back there and talk to her, anyways.
Yeah.
And but
Well,
yeah, I love
it's
that place, and that's 10 minutes from my house. You know,
oh, cool. It's cool you brought that up because we had just stayed in Galena, Illinois at what is it?
love Galena.
Photo. Yeah.
DeSoto Hotel for the first time, and they have the history with Grant and a lot of the political
Yep,
uh,
yep,
people that have been in there. Man, that
right,
that is a cool building too.
right, right. And before COVID started, I was in contact with a lot of some of the people in Galena, to actually kind of like network down there to
Oh, cool.
investigate certain places and stuff like that. And um, when COVID hit, they shut it all down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
right.
lost that in, and I haven't been
Yeah,
there.
Oh.
I've been there, after that, but I just it's one of those places where I appreciate that history. You know what I mean? I love that
Yeah.
Yeah.
history. And being in Lake Geneva, there's so many different places here in town that have, I am good friends with the lady that does the ghost tour walks in Lake Geneva, American
Oh,
Ghost
cool.
Tours.
Oh,
Okay,
sweet.
so I've done I show up whenever she does them, in the summertime. I think it's like Thursday or through Sunday or something. I'll just pop in and um, I don't have to pay. I just go in and
Yeah.
I walk with her. And there's been times where I've gotten stuff on her walks. So she's always
Oh,
appreciative when I come and hang out. And she announces me the whole 9 yards. It's really funny. But
that's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
she's really cool. Her name's Rita. She's got a good book out about Lake Geneva and this and that. But yeah, when you guys get have a weekend or have some free time, come down to Lake Geneva. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, cool.
I'll show you guys around, and we'll walk around and hang out,
That'd be
whatever,
fun.
and you know,
We were
yeah,
just saying we need a vacation,
Yeah.
so maybe we'll spend a few days
yeah,
down there. That'd be cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's cool. I mean, so yeah, I went to high school here, so I mean, it was
Nice. Yeah.
I have I've lived in a haunted house downtown when I was in high school, downtown right across the bank where my wife works. It's now a restaurant. Used to be a house, and then it was a B&B, and then it turned into a restaurant. But that
Oh,
was where I
cool.
had my first full body apparition experience.
Oh,
Was in
wow.
Oh, really? Jeez.
yeah, yeah,
Nice.
that kind of house is cool. I love that house, and now I go there to eat sushi
Oh, nice.
in,
Yeah.
in my old bedroom. In my old bedroom.
No way. That's so crazy.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, it is very
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, but no, I want to thank you guys for coming on. This has been so awesome. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
we got to do this again. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so before we go here, you want to tell people where they can find you and what you have coming up?
Yeah, definitely. I- Check us out online. CasketRobbery.com is the easiest way, or like on all the socials, you can it's at Casket Robbery, all one word. And let's see, what have we got coming up here? I gotta pull up the dates because I always forget. Um, June 20th, in a couple weeks, we are doing Toledo Death Fest.
Okay,
Um, in Ohio. That'll be really cool, and it's another festival with a bunch of really just a big lineup of bands. And then of course we've got the July 18th is our paranormal event, which we're really
mhm,
stoked on. Um, August 15th,
Yep.
it's Michigan Metal Fest in Battle Creek, Michigan.
Yep.
And then September 11th,
Yeah.
we are playing Northern Wisconsin Metal Fest.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
You guys are busy.
We are. And this is
So
kind of
yeah,
it's a very light year for
yeah,
us, only because we are like in the midst of recording our next full length. So we haven't toured a whole lot this year, and it's just mostly festivals and things like that. So we can
right.
lock
How
down
many
and get that
albums
done.
do you have? You have 2 albums out, or is it
yeah. Two albums, a couple EPs, and or maybe
okay?
three EPs. But yeah, so we're working on our third album that will be out. That'll definitely be out early next year.
So you guys are on Spotify,
Yep.
wherever you get your music, um,
Yeah,
iHeartRadio, all that stuff. Okay, okay,
yeah,
Yeah, all
everywhere.
streaming.
Yep,
Yep, all
yep.
streaming platforms.
yeah, right, right, okay. All right, guys. I want to thank you again, and I want to thank people for tuning in and watching and whatnot. Um, so, yeah. Having said that, until next time, Casket Robbery. I'm Jay Hill, and this is Metal Freedom.
Thank you.
Thank you.